Are we there? Are we
Yes, we're
live?
there. We're live.
Hi, we are live. We are here at the Quilt Parlor in Battle Mountain. I'm Teresa Coates. I'm the National Educator for Shannon Fabrics, and we are excited to be back on the road again, just every so often. So we were home last week. We're out on the road again this week. We're in northern Nevada in a little town, like I said, called Battle Mountain. I'm trying to think, we're 3 hours east of Reno, west of Salt Lake City. True?
Mhm.
4 hours or so? Getting a nod from
Yeah,
the
we're
audience.
like
So yeah, we're somewhere in
we're
the
right up
middle
there.
between the two. So funny thing is, we stopped here when we did the big tour in July and August, September, when we had left Cali Quilt Co. And then we were heading to our next stop, and we stopped in Salt Lake, and then we went on to Fort
Fig leaf.
Collins
Yeah.
at the Fig Leaf in Fort Collins. And so on the way, we had to do 2 days of driving, and on that first day, we saw the billboard. And I'm sure that you have done this before, where you see the billboard, you're like, quilt shop, there's a quilt shop, let's go see it. So we stopped, we came and saw the quilt shop, and we walked in, and we were just flummoxed by this adorable little quilt shop in the middle of what seemed like nowhere.
Also, not that little.
Not that little. Um, and we're from Los Angeles, so like this seems like the middle of nowhere, which probably I guess it's kind of not because we have a lot of people here. But so anyway, super cute shop. We stopped and we talked to them, and then later they were like, "Hey, could you guys come back and do a show here?" So we're back, and I'm
Yes,
super
we
excited to be
can.
here. So I'm here with Stephanie. So come on in. This is Stephanie McConville. Is
Yes.
that how you pronounce it? Okay.
Yes.
I like got it in my head, and then all of a sudden it was gone. Anyway, this is Stephanie. She's the manager for the Quilt Parlor, and you guys have been in business for how long?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah,
Okay. Right. And so there's a blog post about like how the quilt shop got started. And I know it started like sort of because she was looking for Cuddle and couldn't find it, right? So they sell a lot of Cuddle here, which is awesome. And Stephanie is the manager, but also does all the long arming, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And I remember when we were here before, you were talking about like, oh, that's what I love. I love long arming with Cuddle.
Yeah.
So tell me why you like it.
It mostly because of like I guess the definition that it shows in the quilting. So I'll show you this quilt right here actually. Can you see that?
I can.
The quilting patterns on the back just show up so much better than on basically anything else.
Yeah, totally. And I always say it looks like velvet when it's quilted.
yeah.
Like it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, so like not only do you get to see it so pretty on the front, but like it just kind of is so defined on the back, and that's just fun. It's a good opportunity. So like if you wanted to use like a really cool pattern,
Right.
you can really see it on
Right, exactly. What I like about using Cuddle on the back versus a cotton on the back is because in a cotton print, it just disappears.
Yeah,
Like you can't
totally
see it at
does.
all.
Yep.
So that if you're using some sort of a quilt design that kind of like coordinates with the quilt front or whatever, you can totally see it, which is awesome.
Sure.
Have you done any with the Luxe Cuddle?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
So that is totally quiltable as well, but it does a different thing. So
And
like
I'm so excited. Like I keep telling everybody, you should use this.
You should
use it. Quilt it now. Like hurry up, customers. Where are you? all my people, give me a quilt with Plush.
Give me a quilt. So we'll send you one.
Yeah.
So I've got them.
Yeah.
It works out super, super well. And you do them for hire as well, not just for the shop, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to have you quilted, they just send it to the store and you guys take care of it?
Call and we have like a form that they fill out, and I fill out like what they want, the style pattern, all the
Very
things.
cool.
And, yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. So they have a whole big variety back here.
I'm gonna do a little quick pan. Everybody say hi.
And then you can see the Cuddle 3, the 90 back there, which is super cool. And so you guys have a bunch of it, which is nice.
I think 90 is like our best seller. Like, because people love to put it on the back, and we like to make big quilts around here. So it works. Exactly.
So anyway, so they have a bunch of it here. They also have a very nice Cuddle selection, which we've sort of hidden with the pillow bed, but we'll show you later. So yeah, you can find out more about the Quilt Parlor at thequiltparlor.com, correct?
Yep.
All right.
Facebook.
Awesome.
Facebook,
yeah, and you're on part of our I Love Cuddle group. So if you're not part of that yet, get on there. All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. So let's get on with the project today. Today we are making the pillow bed, which is actually a project that came from that I Love Cuddle group, which is a group that's on Facebook. And so, like I said, if you're not on there, totally go get on that group. It's called I Love Cuddle Fabric, and it's super fun. And somebody had posted a while ago. It was probably close to a year ago. Somebody had asked, like, how do I make one of these beds with the pillows in it? And like, it's all the joined pillowcases. And I was like, I don't know. Let's see if we can figure this out. So we have another pillow pattern or a pillow cover pattern called the pillow sham, which uses this sort of same technique, but we're going to do it today in an extended version so we can actually have 4 pillows in there and make a little pillow bed. So do you want to show the thing laying across here? So it's very large and not the most attractive thing to lay, but it's super cool because you can do all sorts of things with it. So you can make it into like a seat, or you can prop it up. Can you see the one that's laying down?
I can
It's
show
all propped
that
up
now. There it is.
See? So like kids can prop it up against the couch and be able to sit up, and it's just super comfy. Kids love them. Okay. I'm going to move this so we can see their beautiful Cuddle selection now.
Nice.
Okay. So that's what that is.
Ta-da.
It's a super fun project and kids love it. So if you're trying to make gifts for grands this winter, this Christmas, this is a great one. I've heard from a lot of people that they're doing these for Christmas gifts. So we have a ton of different prints that are available. And this is one of those projects that's super fun because we have all of the different prints that you can choose specifically for the child that you're making it for. I'm pretty sure it would work for an adult too, but I haven't tried it. So, but it's 80 inches long. So, you know, most of us aren't quite that long. I know I'm 66 inches or something. So see, I could probably fit on it. Be fine. But the one we're going to make today, I'm going to show you how to do it, but I'm going to do it in a smaller version. So because that is so long. So we're going to talk about numbers. My numbers will be a little bit different because I'm making a smaller version just to show you how it works. Okay. So what you're going to need. Oh, I didn't do an ingredients list. That's what I didn't do.
Oh.
Darn it. Sorry, guys.
Well,
I'll just tell you what
we're going
to
talk it through.
Okay. You're going to need 2 1/3 yards of fabric. You can use a Cuddle, or you can use a print Cuddle, or you can use a Luxe Cuddle. Either one of them will totally work. We have it done in a red Luxe Cuddle. I think we have pictures of it that we've shown too. Super cute and easy to do, but the print is, I think, the best way of doing it. But you're going to need 2 1/3 yard of the one fabric. That's it. Okay, and then all of your other notions that you're going to want to have, the clover flower head pins, you're going to want to have a way to cut it with a rotary cutter, acrylic ruler, the stiletto, a marking pen. You're also going to want blue tape. So we have some today, blue tape. Every once in a while, you need to get into the hardware store and get yourself some blue tape to work with sewing. So it works really well for this. When I first did it, I was trying to just mark the fabric. And I'll show you why I need the blue tape. And I figured out the blue tape was better. So, okay. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to take your big piece of fabric and you're going to cut it so that your ends are straight. All right. We need to have 80 inches. So there's a couple of different ways of doing that. Basically, find a point, measure over 80 inches. Like I said, I'm using a smaller version today. So we're going to pretend this is 80 inches long and that I measured it that long. Okay. When you are working with the Cuddle fabrics, the printed fabrics, this is a digital print, and you can see that it has the selvage on it is always going to be white. When it's the printed ones, you're always going to have a big white selvage. If you're using you can sort of hides there because of the white. There we go. So if you're using a Luxe Cuddle, it'll go all the way to the edge. And you don't have to hem it, but I do suggest that you do just to give it a nice edge and makes it look nice. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hem this edge. I'm not going to hem the one because it's cut and I don't need to. And that will save us time. Okay. But for this one edge, we're going to go ahead and hem this. So I wanted to show you a couple of ways of doing this. So I can take this and I can fold it so it just goes just past this mark or the edge of the print, right? So I can fold it over, just a little bit of the print is showing, and I can pin it down. The other thing that I can do, if I want to get an even hem, so say I want to just measure that really quick and see how big that. So it's 1 inch exactly that my hem is. So if I wanted to do it 1 1/4 inch hem, say, because I want to get just a little bit of the blue, so it all hides. What we tend to want to do is to mark this at 1 1/4 inch, because that's what our hem is, and then fold it on here. Well, folding it on here is difficult because I have to keep looking under trying to figure out where it's at. So what I've found is that if I measure it at 2 1/2, because that's double of 1 1/4, I can go ahead and just fold this over to that edge. And that's
Oh,
much
that's
easier.
nice. It keeps the line from being blind.
Exactly. So then I can actually see
Got
what
it.
I'm doing, which is awesome. Oh, I didn't tell people to share. You didn't stop me this time.
Oh no,
So at the end, we will give away a kit, and you, if you
I'm
share,
bad.
it's all right. There's always a lot to try to keep track of. If you share the video with your friends, with your sewing group, with anybody, then we will enter you into the contest. And at the end of the show, we will announce a winner, and we will give away a free kit. We'll also give away a kit in store, which is always fun. Okay, so make sure to share it. Tell your friends, spread the word, and we'll give away, we'll have a lucky winner at the end. Okay, so I'm just going to keep pinning this. I don't need to pin it too carefully for a couple of reasons. One, it's on the lengthwise of the fabric. Okay, so the lengthwise of the fabric is not stretchy. Okay, so if I hold it and stretch it along here, it doesn't stretch. This way, meow, very stretchy. Okay, this way, not stretchy. Okay, so I don't have to pin it so much because it's not really going to move too much. It's going to work more like other fabrics. Okay. So this is the easy way of getting it to be pretty darn straight and measuring it so it's even, an even seam. Okay, that makes sense. If you have any questions, pop them up there. And if you're here in the live audience, you just have to wave and get our attention. Try.
Throw something at the back of my head.
Right. That'll do it. Okay, so we're going to take this over. And I haven't tested my machine yet after I set it up. So we're just going to hope for the best. And we're going to do a seam down the edge of this. So you can do a straight seam, a zigzag, a serpentine, whatever you want to do. What should we do today, Huck?
Oh, I don't know. I think a serpentine
That's
just for
kind of what I
fun.
was thinking too, because they are so pretty.
All right, here we go.
So let's go over here. There it is. There's my little serpentine, which is the S curve. I like to do it at a 4 wide and 1.8 long. So that is not the default. So when you put it on your default, it's going to look more like this picture right up there. It's going to have much more of an S curve. And you can see that where I have it with my settings, it ends up looking a little bit more. It's a very long S. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. Look at. Did you see what happened?
No, I didn't.
Look at that magical. Where's the needle? Remember I told you I didn't test it. I was just hoping it
And
would
the
work.
the first thing that happened is the needle broke.
No, the needle
Oh, it's
broke
just
in
gone.
transit.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not sure how, but there it is. There's the partial needle. So that means there's a rest of the needle in my case somewhere. I should probably find that. Okay, let's test out to see if my threading will work again.
all right. That thing is magic. I love it.
All right, so let's try it again. I'm doing a lock stitch. Okay. Now I can sew it. Sorry, it was on turtle mode right there. So I'm just running it so that my raw edge here will run along the red line that I've got. And that is running along this little line in my foot. So I'm trying to keep it so that the S will stay basically even from the side of the foot, or from the side over here the whole way. Okay.
Comment.
Yeah.
I love the serpentine stitch, but mine ends up being different lengths. She says, as she's going along, and
So
different sizes.
that
Yeah.
will happen. So one of the things you'll notice is that I always have a hand back here, and that helps to kind of guide it through evenly. Because what you'll find is if it gets to a thicker spot, or sometimes your foot doesn't grab it right, it'll totally make it shorter. What I found is if I start with trying to make a longer one, it's less noticeable. So I feel like it's the same way with the zigzag, is that I will start with a larger one, and if it gets a little bit smaller, it's not too noticeable. But if I start with a very small zigzag or a small serpentine, then the change is more noticeable, more seeable. Okay, so I would say keep a hand in the back, and also make sure that you have a large serpentine going.
So it basically has to do with the rate if the fabric slows down going through the machine, it changes the way the serpentine looks.
Exactly, because it's
Got
not
it.
feeding through fast enough. And I've found that with almost all machines, it helps if I have a hand in the back to kind of guide it through. Because just even with the digital dual feed on this machine or regular walking foot, it doesn't always want to feed through as evenly as I want it to. Something will get caught up. Yeah, that's frustrating. Yeah, I like the serpentine a lot. So I think it's a very pretty little stitch. Sometimes people pronounce it serpentine. I call it serpentine.
Tomato.
Exactly. I'm sure it has to do with where you live or, who taught it to you. Okay, almost there. So you're going to do this on both sides when you're doing it. I'm just going to do it on one side for the sake of time. Like I said, you don't have to, but it does look nicer. Okay. And you could do a straight stitch. You can do a zigzag. Either one of those will work too. Okay, we get down here and do a little lock stitch again. Okay, and because it's Cuddle, it's not going to, even if you've cut it, it's not going to fray at all. So that's not what we're doing. We're just trying to make it look nicer and also trying to give it some weight. Look at that. It's so pretty.
There it is.
Okay, so there's the little serpentine. All right, and what that does is it adds some weight to this edge of it, so it'll hold in place a little bit better. Okay, so that's part of it, is it makes it look nicer, but also gives it some heft. Okay, all right, so now we're going to lay this out. Remember, this is 80 inches when you're doing it. Okay, you know what I did?
No.
Did I cut it? Maybe I didn't cut it wrong. I was like, I think maybe I cut it wrong. We were having a moment earlier. I was trying to figure out the measurements. And I might have done it wrong. We'll see. I'm always trying to measure these things and figure it out.
Right before the show starts.
Right before the show starts, exactly.
That how that sentence finished?
Yes, exactly. And I'm like, what am I doing? Okay, so it has to be 12 inches. Doing fine. Okay, so I'm gonna do. So just my glasses being big. Sorry. Okay, so now what we're gonna do? This needs to be our finished edge. So basically what we're doing is we're creating a pillowcase that's going to be like this. So this edge I'm not going to finish. This is the edge I'm going to turn over. Okay. So I'm going to turn this over. In yours, you're going to turn it over 6 inches. We're going to measure a pretend 6 inches here.
Your little version is basically half size, right?
It's kind of half size.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we found little pillow forms that were more like decorative pillow forms.
They're 12 by
rectangular.
16.
So just so that you didn't have to wrestle this big thing all over the table for the show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're going to go ahead and measure it. So I'm going to measure
your
it
mileage
from this
may
side.
vary.
Right.
Your measurements may vary.
Your measurements may vary too. Okay. So normally you would do this at 6 inches. I'm going to do it at 5 just because it's a little smaller. I need that. So you're going to measure over 6 inches. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and mark this up. So one of the things that we found when we were doing this a couple weeks ago is that if you are using a light fabric, make sure that you're using a pen that won't show through. So as much as I love my big black Sharpie, if I'm using it on a light colored fabric, I could be in trouble. Okay. So don't use the big black marker on this. All right, so if it's a light one.
Light colored prints too, right?
Yeah, exactly. So this one is a friction felt tip pen. So it is technically heat soluble. Is that the right word? It'll go away with heat. This will probably never see heat unless, it gets dried. That's the only time that that's gonna happen, but it's gonna be hidden away so you won't see it. I'm gonna measure one more. Okay. All right. So now, did I just do this backwards? I think I just did. Dang it, I hate it when my brain does this.
Wait,
does anybody else do
what
this?
What happened?
Well, I'm supposed to measure. Really good right now. Good. So glad. So glad. This is supposed to be turned over 6 inches.
Okay.
Now I have to think for a second. Hold on. My brain, it did a thing. So this is where I always get like, it's confusing because this needs to be folded. Oh no, it is. It's right. Okay. I did do it right. Deep breath, everyone. Deep breath. Thank you. Thank you.
That third guess
Okay.
came in handy.
See, so this would honestly be the reason why if you hem both sides, it doesn't matter which side you did the 6-inch hem the line from. You would
Okay.
just fold it over to the 6 inches.
Okay.
But I only did one, so I'm like, wait a second, what do I do? Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going to bring this over to here. I'm going to make that match. Okay, I'm going to pin that. That was a lot of gymnastics my head just had to do. And I was like, okay, wait. So if I sew it here and then I flip it and then I bring it inside out, my poor little head was like, ah. All right. So
You got to get ahead of this for us.
I know. And luckily it worked. That happened another time that I thought I totally did it backwards and then it was fine. I won't say that happens all the time. There's some times that I'm like, oh, that was just totally wrong. See, sorry. This one is right. Okay. Mark it 6 inches, fold it over. That's what I'm doing. It's folding it over. We're going to use that mark all the way down to make sure that it's in the right place later. Okay. So right now I'm going to do a little double pinning to keep this in place. So you saw on the other one, I only pinned a little bit and I stitched right down because that was lengthwise, so it didn't stretch. This we're sewing on the widthwise, so it's stretchy. So we're going to pin more because we don't want that to get out of control.
And by more, you
Okay.
mean the double pinning technique where you put that second row in there.
So on the other one, I pinned basically this row and sewed it. Okay, it's just this first row. But this one, we're going to do this second row so that it sort of does a zigzag. And as I sew, I'll take these guys out. I might leave these in, and that will hold the fabric more stable. Let's do that. We'll do both ends. We'll do one end at a time. Okay, so this one, we're going to switch it back to just a straight stitch. We don't want any fancy stitches here. Okay, we've got a 3.5 for the width, which means just the center. I'm going to put it on a 3 for the length. Okay, I'm using basically a 1/2 inch seam allowance. This is what we use whenever we're working with Cuddle. Okay, make sure that it's feeding through my machine. Keep my hand back there. Just let it come right through. Okay, this is 2 very thin layers of Cuddle. Like the digital Cuddle is a little extra thin because of how it's made. So it sews through really super easily. I will tell you, if you have not worked with the digital Cuddle yet, one of the things that's interesting is about how it feels. So at first it's kind of extra flat, and it's because of how it's printed, and they use heat to kind of push the print on. Is that the technical?
I mean,
I don't know
sure,
what the technical words are for it, but when they use it, it's heat set. So it smashes it down a little bit. But when you wash it, this will all fluff up more and it will look more like regular Cuddle. It's kind of an interesting thing that changes when you wash it. It'll get fluffier. Okay. All right.
And yet I've seen it after it's been washed and you don't actually lose any of the definition on the print.
Oh, no,
either.
not at all.
Right.
No,
So
not at
that's
all.
good.
It's great. That's the wonderful thing about the digital. I mean, honestly, look at all the colors that are in this. It's crazy. And that's not available to you if you are doing it a standard way of screen printing the fabric. You can only do a certain number, and I'm not going to say a number because I'm not sure which one it is. But you can only do a certain number of colors. And with the digital printing, we can do as many colors as we can think of. Just a lot. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. So we have talked about this before, is which direction do you sew it? So the other side, I really like sewing from this edge to the fold. And that way, if it grows a little bit, it grows into the fold and it's fine. It just disappears and my mark doesn't move. Okay. When I'm sewing it from here to here, if this moves, if this starts to push it all, which it sometimes likes to do, this will move and it will be inaccurate now. Okay, so this is a personal choice moment that you can sew from here to here. I'm actually going to flip it over and sew from this side. Okay.
Got it.
And that's really because I want to make sure that this line, that these stay together. So if I start up here, I know that it's right. If I start at the other end, it might work itself away and not be right. Okay. So it's kind of It's a little thing you can be finicky about, but you don't have to. Because honestly, the amount it will grow is pretty minimal. But I like to get a little bit picky about things sometimes. Not always, just a little. Okay. All right. So now we're going to sew this again. Okay. Put that down. Do the same thing. And hold on. Okay. We're just going to sew right along this edge. And again, because I'm using the flower head pins, you can see that my flower head is going right underneath there. And that's fine because I can see that it's not going to hit the needle. Okay, the needle is not going to run over that at all. It's just going to run right under the foot. And that's really why I like the flower head pins, because I don't have to take them out. As long as my needle is not going to hit any of the metal part or run over the head and poke holes in it and stitch it to your piece, then you're fine.
Every once in a while,
Yeah.
we find your lucky pin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody in the last class that we did, she was so embarrassed that she ran over the pin. And I saw her cutting it out. And I was like, oh, no, let me show you my pins. I have plenty. It happens.
Don't do it, but don't. But it's going to happen anyway.
It's not the end of the world, I promise. Okay, so now we can go ahead and take these extra pins out. So you can see what that does is holds it so none of that fabric was able to move at all, and it doesn't shove. Okay, so now, there we go. Okay, so now we have, and this is the small version of it. So you can imagine your big version of it is going to be big. Okay.
A little bit of wrestling.
So this big long thing. So you're going to deal with it a little bit at a time. So if you remember, when we're working with Cuddle, we want to kind of, you can accordion fold it, just fold it up, whatever, get it on the table. So make sure that you are not trying, like when I'm trying to pin this, if I have all of this on the table, that weight is not coming off, because when I'm doing a normal one, this is going to be 30 inches wide and 80 inches long. So it's larger and yeah, it could be a little more obnoxious. So make sure that you're keeping it all up on the table. Okay. So one of the other things that you can do, which we didn't do here, is that you can take and pull this and give it a little bit of a tug. I found that if I do this stitching, it holds it really nicely and I don't need that extra tension on it. We do that with the pillow sham. So you'll see in the pattern, it talks about pulling this up a little bit tighter. I found it isn't so necessary in this pattern. It makes a big difference in the pillow sham though. Okay, so definitely do it in that one.
Sort of over, you're talking about with the pillow shim, you basically overstretch it.
Yes.
A little bit so that it holds the pillow in tighter. In this case, you didn't need to do that.
Right. And this one we would do it normal, and then in here we're going to pull it. So I mean, we could do one in like that. I'll show you.
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Okay. So what we can do is we can stitch along here, or we can pull this a little bit extra tight, and it will give it some oomph. So we'll do it. We'll see if it makes a difference. In the longer ones, it didn't really make too much of a difference. That's why, like, I feel like it's a place that people can get a little confuzzled by. Oops, look what I did. I pinned it on the wrong side. Okay. Because what I want to do is I want to sew it from this side. So we're going to get it in there, stretch it back over a little bit. So what I want is about a ½ inch sticking out over there, and that'll make it tighter. But I want to see my stitching, because I want to stitch right over what I did before. Okay. So I'm going to pin that down. Now I'm going to stitch from here to here. We're going to do a lot of this back and forth, back and forth. Okay. I think that's on the line. Probably watch the camera. See better? Okay, and the back stitch there. All right, so this is that little loop thing that I was talking about. Okay, where it comes up, one comes around, and blah blah blah. That's what that is. Okay, this creates our outside edge.
Got it. That's the pocket that the pillow slides into, and the little pocket holds it in on the other end.
Exactly. That's what my brain was trying to get to this point. That's why I was confused.
Okay.
I was trying to do that in my head, and it was confusing me for a second. So on this one, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to fold it over. And so I'm just folding it right up against this is what I'm doing. Okay. So I'm going to fold it up there, push it over just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead because I can see it better from this side. And I'm going to flip it like that. Turn it over. And then pin it. Okay. And again, I'm just going to stitch right along where I stitched before. Okay. And because it is a knit, sometimes it's going to want to do this curl thing on you. And that's just the nature of the beast because knits like to curl.
Especially like the more you tug along
The more
edge,
you tug it, yes.
the more it curls.
And we have found that to be a real issue sometimes for people is they want to kind of pull it. And I would recommend that you do not. Okay, so we're going to stitch right along there. And take those out so I can see a little better. Okay. And then lock stitch that, back stitch. Okay. So now I've got both ends are like that. I can go ahead and clean it up. Make them nice and even. Okay. At this point, if you wanted to, if you were gifting this, you could go ahead and serge those edges just to make it nice. But the only reason to do that is just to give it a nice clean edge. All right. So at this point, we're going to turn it inside out and we have the longest pillow sham ever.
The pillow sham for a body pillow.
It probably would work for a body pillow, but you would have to measure it. That's actually a really good idea. I wonder if I would put maybe some Velcro down the side to hold it in place.
Yeah, it would be a big gap in the middle, I'm sure. So
it would want to pull apart, but you could. Okay, so now.
All right, new project
see that?
next season.
I know. Exactly. Okay, so you can't see the whole thing, and that's fine, but you can see how this works, right? Okay.
I'm going to come in and do a kind of a long down the line shot. There
Okay.
we go.
So this is how it's going to work, and you're going to have one end. This is going to be 26 inches ish. Okay. 27 inches, and this folds over. So this is again where our little line is. So even though I talked about the line being in there makes it harder, here I can like fold it over and get it in the right place. And then kind of manipulate this so that it lays like nice and even. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tack it every once in a while because what I want to do is to keep this nice and even as I go down. And every time I move it, it's gonna do other things. Okay. Under here, fold it. There go my reading glasses. Okay, not helpful. Okay, get that nice and flat. Bring it over. Okay, so when you're doing this and you're doing the big pillows, make sure that you have like a bigger area. If you have like a 6-foot table that you can do this on, it'll be perfect. Okay, because part of it is just getting it to lay flat is sometimes the hardest part. Oh, I was like, why is that not laying flat? And I remember it's because we pulled it in there. So it shouldn't lay perfectly flat. Okay. I do want this inside stuff to lay down though, because we're going to stitch it in place. And so when we're measuring that inside flap, and if you do that little hem, it'll make it stiffer and stay there. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. Okay, so now you're going to have a huge 80-inch section that is like this. Has a little hem here and the little flap is underneath. So the first time I tried this, I decided I would do these seams in between to divide the pillow sections. I would do it from the other way without flipping it inside out. And what happens is you can't flip it inside out. So
right.
So I had sewn all the little strips and I was like, this doesn't work. And then I had to take all the stitches out. So don't do that. Turn it inside out. Okay. Now you're going to measure your section. So this should be, you cut it 80 inches. You have your 1/2 inch seam allowances. So it should be around 79 inches or so. Okay. But we're not going to worry too much about it. We're just going to measure every 20 inches.
Oh, that's a good question. When you're trying to fold over that 6-inch flap,
Mhm.
could you use a little 505 spray?
No, no, that's a great question because you don't, that's actually going to be a flap that the pillow fits into.
Right, but it'll wash back out, right?
Yeah, but I can, this would be stuck down underneath here because this is the flap that goes over my pillow here.
Right.
So if I 505 this down here, I would have to wash it before I used it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. If it
So
was if along 80 inches, I think maybe the suggestion was just to make it easier to kind of like control
you
that.
could.
But
Yeah.
you would have to wash it before you used it.
Yes. Otherwise, it's stuck down and you don't want to try to put a pillow under there with the sticky on there. That sounds miserable. Okay. So now we need to divide it. This is where my math's going to be like, let's see if we did this right. Okay. And I think I totally didn't, which is hilarious. So I think my pillows are not going to fit. Michael was listening to me this morning when I was like, I don't know if my math is right. This is what happens.
So you have four pillows. You're going to divide whatever this
right.
is into
So,
four.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly what I'm doing. And now I'm trying to measure what my half is. See, that's what I thought. So I don't have 12-inch square pillows. I have 12 by 16-inch pillows. And they did it 12 inches wide. So they're like little.
Yeah.
What was that?
They're-
I will cram them in there. They will be a full pillow. It's going to be great. Okay. See, this is why if you just do it according to the directions, you'll be fine. I just wanted to show you the work of it. Okay, so 10, 12. All right. So here is my measurement. And I'm going to do one over here. So I get this laying flat. I'm going to measure over 12. Okay, so you're going to be 20. I just want to make sure.
The actual pillow size is
20 inches. Okay.
Okay.
So 20 inches down. It shows you in the pattern. Oh, we didn't talk about that either. Oopsie, sorry. You can get the pattern on our website at shannonfabrics.com. You can go download the pattern.
Free pattern. Show the front.
Free pattern looks like that.
That's a big
Okay.
help.
So this is in the rainbow version and this is in the pastel version. Okay. So this is Hoffman digital backsplash. You have they have the okay. Yeah. So they have
Nice.
this version on their website. So if you go to the quilt parlor,
In
you'll be
2
able
and
to
a
get
third yard cuts.
in
Ready
the
to
exact,
go.
yep, ready to go for you.
Nice.
Okay, which is super pretty. I love the variation on it. Okay, so let's see. If I put it on 12, I can count to the next 12 really easily. Whew, thank goodness. At least that one I can count. Okay, so you're going to do these one at a time. I'm going to do it two at a time because I'm here.
By one at a time, you mean pin it, sew it.
Yeah,
And then pin
exactly.
another
Because
one.
if you're dealing with a bigger one, you're going to have it. It's going to be this way, and it's going to be this wide.
Right.
And this long. So dealing with one at a time is a good way of doing it. So what I like to do is just like I did there, where I find a spot here where I'm going to find where my measurement is, and I'm going to come across, put a pin in the other one so that they're even. Okay, so I measure down from each corner how far I need it. Then this is where your blue tape comes in. Okay. You're going to get a hunk that is as wide as your fabric.
Oh, and this is because you can't mark it on the outside because there's the print, and you can't mark it on the back side because you can't have it inside out.
That way. Yeah. That's
Got
exactly
it.
what this
All right.
is. So the
I'm
blue tape
with
works.
you.
The blue tape works. I will tell you the inside secret for this one, inside scoop, is to give yourself a little arrow that's the side of the tape that you sew on. Because if you put a 1-inch tape, especially, it's really hard to remember which side was the side that I'm supposed to sew on, because you're going to take these pins out.
Very
And we're now
important.
going to pin on either side because that's what we do with Cuddle. So all of a sudden, both sides are looking exactly the same unless you have somehow marked it that this is the sewing side. So I've seen this get messed up a couple of times when people were doing it. The other thing you want to make sure is that you can feel it, that inside piece, that piece that's 6 inches folded over, is flat. Make sure I don't have any folds in there. Okay, when I'm pinning that down. So now I'm just going to sew right along there. Okay, you want to stand that side and watch
Sure.
as it comes through. Okay, so as I do this, I'm just going to run. I'm actually going to take that off because fold it under. Because blue tape likes to stick to your machine too. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to backstitch. And I'm going to follow along down the edge of my blue tape. And get a fairly straight line. Okay, and you can see I pushed the pins out far enough that they're not going to get in the way at all while I'm sewing. And I marked the side I want to stitch it on. Come on. Okay, I get all the way down to the other end. Yeah, yep, it's running right next to the tape edge. Yep, so you can see here. I'll show the audience here too. Okay, so if you can see here. It's polyester, so we always use, somebody asked the thread that we're using is 100% polyester. So we always use polyester when we're working with Cuddle. I use Metler Metrocene is my favorite thread. And if you come to my classes, you get it. So everybody here got some.
You're gonna get a roll, or there's a roll in your bag.
Okay, it's good. It's good thread.
Everybody got a roll in their gift bags.
Okay, so now I'm going to take my little blue tape off. I can totally reuse this every time. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take my pins out. I'm going to clip this. So just clip my extra, oops, there's some extra threads. Just clip those off, make it nice and neat. There's my little straightish line. Okay, and then we'll do the next one. So we'll measure down again, which I did already. And make sure that that's laying flat in there. And again, I'm going to take my pack of needles off the tape. Right. My little 90-14 stretch needles. And I'm going to put this on so that, again, I'm matching the pin that's here. And I'm putting the arrow the direction I want to sew it, the direction of the tape that I want to sew it. Okay. Okay. All right, I'm going to do it again. Tuck my tape under. I am trying to tuck the tape when I tuck it. I'm tucking it so it goes that way so I don't stitch it to the fabric. Okay, and that one I'm going to leave, let it hang because that worked fine. We're going to stitch that down. Okay, and I'm trying to get, can you see this right here? So I'm trying to get it so that this edge, this is my folded edge, right? Yep, that's my folded edge. And that's going to meet right up here next to my hemmed edge.
Got it.
Okay.
All right, we're kind of
so those around. Are even. Let me go ahead and stick that under here again. Put my foot down. Okay, so I will say this was when we were working on them the other day with people. This was the part that got a little bit crazier because you have a long panel here and a lot of fabric. So you're dealing with 2.5 yards or 2 1/3 yards the entire time. So definitely make sure that you're laying things out and getting things flat. It's really easy to get it caught in the wrong place if you're not careful. And that definitely happened. That, you know, an end of a pillowcase got sewn to the rest of the pillowcase. Go ahead and backstitch. Put my thread. What did I just do?
Did you pin?
Maybe not.
I didn't catch it. Somebody in the audience caught it, and I'm like, wait, what happened?
I always pin. I don't know what you're talking about.
Wow. Well, nice work.
It laid so flat and didn't move. I didn't even notice. That's pretty good, actually. All right. So 7.
That's thanks, Lee.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't get away with anything, can I? Tell you. Okay.
No.
So 12 inches again. Take my tape off. Okay. And this is the big wide tape. You don't need a 2-inch wide tape. It's just what Hawk had. So I stole it. And
I offered it.
Yes, I asked him if he had blue tape. He said he had some, but it is the 2-inch wide, and you don't need 2-inch wide. So just because I'm using this doesn't mean that that's what you need to use. Okay. Okay, here, let me put some pins in it. Oopsie. I want a pin on either side. All right.
I really wish that they had gotten to see the look you gave me. That would have been a good shot. Next time I'll move the camera a little faster when we're calling her out, everybody.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Like, oh no.
Stink eye.
It was a little bit of stink eye. Yeah, mostly like I was like, oh gosh, I got caught, and I didn't even notice it either. Okay, one more here. So one of the things that if you're sewing along here, you can kind of eyeball it and make sure that you're not hitting the blue tape. You can also use an edge stitch foot if you're real worried about it. But honestly, if you stitch over your blue tape, it'll pull right up. It's no problem. So don't panic. Okay, not the end of the world, I promise. Okay, another back stitch.
Our audience had the aha moment
About
the fact that there's 4 open ends all along one side now.
got it. Yeah.
Yep. What are you doing?
It doesn't really make any sense until you're done. And then it's like, oh wait, got it. Okay, so now, and because the real one is so large, it's a little hard to show. Okay, so now get rid of my tape. I'm gonna go ahead and show you. There's the little pockets.
Oh, great.
Okay, for the pillow. So are we ready to see if
That's-
16 inches of pillow will fit into the 12-inch? So if you use the pattern instructions, you'll be fine. Your pillows will fit just fine. You won't have to shove it at all, okay? So thankfully, I bought like the cheap version of the pillows. So these are the Polyfill basic ones. They're from Fairfield. And Fairfield makes nicer ones that we have that are Premier. And they're very nice. The basic ones are pretty basic and they might squish. Okay. That's what
or shove. Exactly. This might be helpful right now.
I have the other one. I have the nicer one somewhere. I think it might be still in my sewing bag. Okay. So then you're going to put this in here. It's going to fit nice and easily. Let's see if we can squish it in.
It's not going to hang
squish.
4 inches out.
4 inches out the end. No, but it's not going to fit perfectly. Oh, but look at that.
I think maybe you're winning this game. that looks pretty fine.
Ta-da. Okay. I'm going to squish it over. I'm going to just like work it this direction.
Somewhere between a ta-da and an oopsie.
Yeah, exactly. We got
Perfectly
both
the
in
middle.
one fell swoop. Okay. Go ahead. Stick it in. So the flap that's in there is what keeps it from coming out. So see on the back, you have this whole overlap that fits over the pillow, and this is loose. Okay.
There you go.
If you want, and I've seen a couple of people who have put Velcro here and Velcroed it down so that this would stay flatter. I think it's not a big deal. It's just what it does.
If you want to make it more complicated,
you go right ahead.
You do you.
Yeah, you do you. Embroider it, applique, make it out of, fancy ribbons down the side. You can do all sorts of stuff. Okay. 2 more. Look at, they're working.
They are working.
I would like to thank the audience for their encouragement that I could show those 16-inch pillows. Like, no, you could do it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to try. The other thing that you could absolutely do is look at these have like little zippers. You could probably take these out, stitch it off, make it a 12-inch. I mean, we're going to make it harder.
Also, I'm going to bet money being inside of a quilt shop, I'll bet there were 12-inch pillow forms back there someplace.
At least I could have made 12-inch with the batting, the stuffing. Oh, well, this is what happens. It's all right. We're getting it to work. Look at how cute that's going to be. It's adorbs. Hey. So the fluffier the pillow, the more it will fill it out. Just, use the cheapest pillows. They won't work quite as nicely. So we did find that out. Use a decent pillow. It'll fluff it up really well. Okay.
All right.
Ready?
And overstuff it.
Look at that. How cute is that? Look, you could just lay right up against your sewing machine. That's pretty
Nice.
hilariously adorable.
I like
I'm
it.
like, hey, what can I use this for? Oh, a neck pillow in a car. That's not a bad idea. Against the window. Oh, this is my
How-
drive back home to Los Angeles, guys. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna take it one step further. How
Yeah.
about airplane pillow?
It could be. Could be. I'm thinking it's
Because
a
you
good
could
like
do all
it's
kinds
a
of
it's like a it's
stuff
like
where you
a little
fill in the
mini
space between the seat and
it's a
the
little mini
window.
body pillow. Cause see, I could
Oh,
just
yeah.
like
Totally.
right. That's what I was thinking. It's like American Girl doll or something. Do all sorts of things with this pillow. Okay. It's just a little bitty version. The big version. So here's the real size. This is why we
Wrestle it.
did. This is the real size, which is a little bit bigger. Okay. It's a little larger, a little more to control. So use, use a big 6-foot table. But this is the version in the pastel. You guys said you have this fabric, correct? Okay. And I know you have a whole bunch of other ones that are out there too, because it's a super fun project to be able to make it work for whoever you want to make it for. Because we have a whole bunch of different prints. Super fun. Okay. So I think that was it. Michael didn't tell me anything, so I guess we're doing okay.
I think we're doing all right.
We do need a winner. So maybe we can get a winner for
Right.
our for next one. So really it's 2 1/3 yards of fabric. Download the pattern. It's on the website. Super duper easy to make. The biggest thing is just making sure that you mark it correctly. Duh. Okay. Because to make sure you mark these dividers. We gave you the measurements for the real one.
Measure thrice.
Measure thrice. Yeah. I know my dad's a woodworker. I know these things. Like you're supposed to measure twice cut before you cut it. So I didn't, but it's okay. It worked out fine. It's just fine.
We have a winner.
We have a winner.
Yeah, it's Sarah G.
Sarah G, congratulations. You're the
Out
winner.
there in the
So
virtual
please
audience.
message us on Facebook. Make sure that you message us on Facebook and let us know what your mailing address is and all that good stuff. And then we'll send you a kit. So I might just send her fabric for this because that'd be super easy. So if you want one, let me know. We'll send you fabric for making your own pillow bed. And if not, we'll send you a strip quilt kit. Super cool. We will have a winner here afterward. Are there any other questions that came up?
No, I think we're fairly covered.
Okay. All right. Did you have a question?
Use polyester thread because the fabric polyester.
Yes. So she asked about the polyester thread and using polyester thread for polyester fabric, and that is 100% the reason. Part of it is polyester thread, just like polyester fabric, has more strength to it and more stretch. So working with the polyester thread, it will actually have stretch to it that cotton thread does not. So if you use cotton thread, it's much more likely in a place like this where I have to shove it and push it and kind of manipulate it, that I'm much more likely to pop a hole in it.
It's not just the
So,
polyester.
yeah.
It's actually like well, I mean, it's the knit, right? It's because the fabric has stretch.
because
Like
it's a
you've done
knit.
it. You've done
Right.
side by side tests where you've basically sewn the same
Right.
seam, the same seam
Mhm.
with polyester and cotton thread. And
Yes.
if you give it a little tug, the cotton thread just pops,
It'll just pop.
and then
Yeah.
you get to redo the whole seam if
Yeah.
you even can
Right.
at that point,
Right.
because
Which
you're
is
inside
super
out.
frustrating. So yes, make sure that you're always using a polyester. My favorite, we use Metrocene all the time, and I really love it. There are a few other brands out there. We've worked with Superior Threads, and I know I've worked with Gutermann before. I'm trying to think if there's another one, but the Superior So Fine is the one that I use, and Metler Metrocene. So those are the 2 polyester threads. Very important. The same with the 9014 stretch needle. So it'll make your project last longer, and especially on a project like this, which if the kids in your life are anything like the kids in my life, they're going to jump all over this, and they're just going to like body slam it, which means all the pressure on those seams. So making sure that you've got nice strong seams is really important. If you're giving it to, I would say, a young boy, I might actually stitch those seams twice.
What are you trying to say? We're rambunctious.
You might be
All right.
rambunctious. Boys tend to be a little more so. Just saying, any rambunctious kid, I might stitch it twice just because I could see them. Like I could do the jump is like, the leaf jump.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I'm talking about? That's kind of what I see happening. So anyway, make sure you stitch it well. It'll last a long, long time. All right. So thanks for joining us here at the Quilt Parlor. Super fun. We'll be back next week, back in the studio in Los Angeles for 2 more weeks of this season. We will be announcing at least most of the stops for the next tour next week. So that'll be super fun. We'll tell you where we're going next year. So we'll be on the road all of 2022 and visiting shops across America. So looking forward to sharing the shops that we're going to with you for the first season. So we've got through March planned, and we are looking forward to sharing with you. Next week, we'll be doing the snowman pillow, which is a little pillow with applique. So if you've been curious about doing that, that'll be super fun and a nice holiday project. So we'll be back then. Is that it, Hawk?
I
Are we
think
good?
we did it.
All right. Till next Tuesday.
Thanks everybody here.
Happy sewing.
Happy sewing.